Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. So glad to have you in on a Tuesday. And as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Tuesday?
Excited about the show. We got some really good topics to talk about tonight.
We got a lot to talk about. We're talking Sunday Night Football later on the show. Packers, Chiefs. That should be interesting. We're talking about the Jets again. Zach Wilson. Not good things coming out of New York.
Unbelievable. I can't wait to get to that one.
Talk a little bit of basketball today as well. In-season tournament action. Celtics eliminated from the in-season tournament. We'll talk about Tyrese Halliburton's absolute phenomenal display of basketball later on in the show. But let's start with probably one of the biggest videos we've done in a very, very long time, biggest topics we've done in a very, very long time. And that was America's Game of the Week just this past Sunday, or as maybe this should be called America's Game of the Year, because what a game it was indeed. The Eagles. Yikes. The Eagles got embarrassed by the 49ers on about Sunday afternoon. It was a 42-19 blowout. Brock Purdy threw for over 300 yards, as well as also had 4 touchdowns on the day. Jalen Hurts threw for just under 300 yards and 2 total touchdowns. You had the Eagles winning this game. I had the 49ers winning this game, and that turned out to be the case. The 49ers did end up winning this game. I want to know, do you still think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC?
No.
You're coming around.
Yeah. I think the 49ers proved that they're the best team in the NFC anyway, right? Maybe the best team in all of the NFL. I think that the 49ers exposed the Eagles defense, right? That we went over their stats, the Eagles stats on defense, and they ranked pretty low in many categories. And that was exposed by the 49ers, who looked great in this game. They had all their tools, all the players were out there. And that's the thing with the 49ers, as we said in prior shows, if they've got all their players out on the field, they're very hard to beat. And they proved it on Sunday. They crushed the Eagles.
Absolutely. And when I thought of this topic, I was like, yeah, I mean, I already had them as the best team in the NFC. I had them in the best team in the NFL. My Nate's Notches, I had them number 1 team in the NFL, and they put on display there. We got to think about this now for the 49ers. What happened last season, right? The Eagles were, I believe, 11-0, then they lost to the Commanders. I believe they finished the year, was a 13-4 to a 14-3, something like that. But they were blowing out teams. The offense, A.J. Brown, deep shot. Devontae Smith, deep shot. Nowadays, it's hard-nosed, head down in the trenches, winning games. But still, it was very, very difficultly won games. The 49ers this season, when healthy, they're blowing out teams. And not only blowing out teams in general, but destroying really, really good teams. I think we say the Cowboys are a pretty damn good team. They're 42, and they beat them 42-10. The Eagles game we just saw, 42-19. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who at the time were on a decent winning streak, they beat them 34-3. So, in my opinion, not only are the 49ers the best team in the NFC, this team, when healthy, is the best team in the entirety of the NFL. And you take a look at their schedule now. Home against the Seahawks, at Cardinals, home against the Ravens, at Commanders, home against the Rams. There's a very high likelihood they win out, and they finish the year 14-3.
Yeah.
The Ravens are really their only other competition.
Yeah, that will be an interesting game.
And the Ravens are without Mark Andrews. We saw the first game against the Chargers, and that Chargers defense was abysmal. Now, we're not going to talk about the Patriots because their offense is terrible.
Well.
But the Chargers defense this season has been very, very bad. And the Ravens only, before that Zay Flowers' incredible run at late in the game to put the team up by 10, there were 13 points of offense against that Chargers defense, and Lamar Jackson threw for 170 yards. So that Ravens offense wasn't even that good against a defense that this season, and since Brandon Staley got there, has been so bad. So now we're going up against this 49ers team without Mark Andrews, without or with the great passers that the 49ers have. Is it really a competition? And besides that, on top of that, the Ravens in the fourth quarter with double-digit leads, they are prone to losing those games, which is surprising with a superstar quarterback.
Yeah, well, I think the good chance you're going to see a rematch of this game in the NFC championship game, Eagles 49ers. Very good chance that will happen.
You think so?
Yeah, I do, and I think the Eagles. I think the Eagles will play better in that game. I think they learn a lot from this one, and I think they'll play better, and it'll be a closer game. But I do think it will be a rematch of today of Sunday's game and also of last year's NFC Championship game and Brock Purdy hopefully won't tear his UCL ligament and which really it's messed up that game. That ruined that game, right? I mean,
then they put in Josh Johnson?
He got hurt.
He got hurt like 5 plays into the game.
Yeah,
Jimmy
and then
G was already out.
Yeah, and then Purdy came back in and he couldn't do it. They knew he couldn't throw it.
He couldn't throw it.
All he could do was hand it off.
Right.
That's it. And so I don't know. That was a disappointing game, but hopefully that doesn't happen this time around.
Well, that's the big thing, right?
And maybe I bet you're thinking that the Cowboys get to the NFC Championship game, right? Huh? That's what I'm thinking.
Hey, I haven't said my take on that yet. But
we'll see. The Cowboys still play the Eagles once more, right?
They play the Eagles actually this week.
Yeah.
And that was what I said before this game. I said
the Eagles they've had a tough schedule, man.
7 straight games against teams that they've had trouble with.
Yeah, so maybe they will run out of gas a little bit in this game on Sunday.
That's why I think we can't take so much into this. Now, definitely we could say the 49ers are tremendous because I'll also say this. They bounced the first quarter. The 49ers looked dead. They had -6 yards of total offense. Purdy was 0 for 3 on passes. The Eagles defense showed up big time. I'm like, oh my God. The comments section is going to be brutal. I mean, it was, but for you, not for me. But and then all of a sudden, the offense, Deebo Samuel's making screenplays into 65-yard touchdowns. He was running angry. CMC, we talk about unstoppable players in the league, right? No one is able to stop CMC since he got to the 49ers. Not even really when he was on the Panthers, they could stop him very well. And that's why I think, and there's a big argument here now. Who's the MVP? Now, I actually have the MVP odds right now. We're going to show this right now for our YouTube audience. Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy currently co-hold the leaders for MVP odds.
I thought Jalen Hurts was the leader for that.
That was before this game.
He dropped to number 3 now.
He dropped to number
Brock
3.
Purdy is up at number 2 now, huh?
Well, tied for number 1.
Tied for number 1.
So, Dak Prescott and Purdy hold the lead. And here's what I'm going to say about it.
But put that back up there. You went too fast for me. So, Lamar Jackson is in there. Mahomes. I don't think Mahomes is number 4 now. The way he played this past game, he got beat by the Packers.
Yeah.
He has no wide receivers. I feel bad for him there. Tua, I think, might be ranked higher. Should be ranked higher than than Mahomes and Lamar, right?
And here's what's interesting about that. And my argument for this is: are we sure these quarterbacks are the reason why this team is so dominant? Are they the best players on that offense? And when you look at the 49ers, Tyreek Hill, by the way, is about to break, and he's 500, a little over 500 yards away from getting 2,000.
He's going to get it.
He's probably going to get it. He may need all 17 games, all 18 weeks, but we don't know. He could have a 150-yard game over and over again, making 3 or 4 games. We don't know exactly what the guy can do.
Still, how many games left? 5?
There are 5 games left.
5 games left. So
it's 100 yards a game.
Yeah,
which
that
is
should
very
be easy
doable
for him.
Tyreek Hill. Very, very easy.
Some games he gets 200.
Right. But here's my thing with Brock Purdy. Is he the best player? Just let's have this. Now, I'm not even going to say on the team. How about just on the offense? Is Brock Purdy the best player on that offense? You could argue he's 3rd on that offense.
Really?
Maybe,
you think so?
Maybe 4th or 5th on the team. CMC.
I don't think so.
CMC. Trent Williams. Deebo Samuel, you could argue. If you want to throw George Kittle in there, I don't know if you would, but I'm not. I
don't think so.
So those 3 players just on the offense. If you go to the defense, Nick Bosa, would you throw Fred Warner in there? You have players who on the team are so great. You look at CMC's production and look at the next running back over to him. Mm. There's no comparison.
Yeah, I think that's a hard comparison because the quarterback handles the ball on every play. Right? Those guys don't.
Not really. The 49ers hand the ball off a lot.
No, but the quarterback takes the snap. The quarterback makes the decisions.
Yeah, as long as you
the quarterback changes the play at the line of scrimmage. The quarterback reads the defense. I think that's hard to make a judgment about whether the quarterback is whether a quarterback or some other player is the best player on the team. I would say it's hard to make a judgment about that.
And here's an argument that I think is completely, completely viable and should mean something. Brock Purdy is number one in a lot of stats, right? Yards per attempt. I don't know exactly all the stats. I think it's completion percent. Yeah, completion percentage he's number one in. He's not as high. He's 7th in passing yards, but he's number one in yards per attempt. He has 23 touchdowns, 6 picks, which is the second best ratio in the top 5. The first highest would be Dak Prescott at 26 and 6. If you talk about people with 20 touchdowns or more. But if we look at his average depth of target, I don't know where people are getting that he's number one in that. Yes, yards per pass he would be, meaning it's completions to yards. That's what that means. If you're talking about intended air yards, which is just you throw the ball, it doesn't need to be completed. If we go all the way down, average depth of target, we have to go all the way down to number 17. He's 17th in the league.
So you're
in
saying
average
he's
depth
a
of target.
dink and dunk.
Baker Mayfield, P.J. Walker, Jordan Love, Ryan Tannehill, Will Levis, Jimmy G, who doesn't even play anymore, Dak Prescott, Desmond Ridder, Derek Carr, all throw the ball deeper than Brock Purdy does. Brock Purdy could throw it 5 yards. We saw it before. Brock Purdy makes a throw. The camera obviously goes to the receiver. There's no one on the screen. That's how wide open these guys are. And that's more Kyle Shanahan that I said is Brock Purdy. Because you and I can make that throw. That isn't a hard throw to make when there's no one around the guy.
Yeah.
And
he makes some good throws, though.
You know
what? And I think, you know what? And Sunday, after the first quarter, he was a world beater. He looked great out there. He really looked smooth.
CMC, that's what I'm saying.
He looked smooth. His throws were really crisp. They were very accurate. He looked like the second coming of Tom Brady out there. He did. 6th-round draft pick. 6th-round draft pick. Drafted. Was he the last player taken?
Brock Purdy was the last
player taken in the draft. Look at him. He's looking really good. I'm high on Brock Purdy. I think he's good.
Jimmy G went to a Super Bowl, and we've argued before that a lot of people don't realize that Jimmy G isn't a Josh Allen or Mahomes where he should throw it 65 yards and put on his display of how much of an arm he has. That wasn't Kyle Shanahan's offense. That wasn't the scheme. That wasn't how Jimmy G should play. How Jimmy G played was getting the ball to the open receiver. That was Jimmy G's game. That was how he made his money. That's how they got to 2 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy's the same. The only difference is we don't put Jimmy G in a top 10 quarterback list or give Jimmy G MVP votes because we acknowledge that, look, the talent around him. But now because Brock Purdy makes it look a little bit prettier, but it's the same exact thing. You can look at the numbers when Jimmy G got CMC on that team. He was incredible. The interceptions, I believe, in the first full start. So after the Kansas City game, Jimmy G did not have a single interception. I think he had 7 touchdowns, no picks, over 100 passer rating. I mean, the guy was insane.
It doesn't hurt to have great players around you.
I understand that, but we shouldn't give the MVP award, if we're being honest here, the MVP award has become a quarterback award. That's what it's become.
And rightfully so, I think.
I don't think so, because if we look at Tyreek Hill is the main piece of that offense. I guarantee you, if Tyreek Hill was maybe a third of who he is or 2/3 of who he is right now and had maybe, 1,100, 1,200 yards instead of damn near 1,500 going on 2,000 like he promised in the offseason this past year, is Tua going to be the same? Are they going to still have one of the most dynamic offenses? And not only that, they also have a top 3 running game in the NFL as well.
Obviously, Tyreek Hill is a very big difference maker because look at the Chiefs this year without him.
Well, you can also say that last year and they won the Super Bowl.
They did win but they had better wide receivers last year than they have this year. But Tyreek Hill would be making a big difference for them this year.
Absolutely, I would agree with that.
Given the talent they have at wide receiver this year, the guys can't even hang on to the ball.
Right.
They drop the ball regularly. They suffered from some bad penalties this week.
We're going to talk about that. I've that last drive was brutal.
Yeah.
But for me, I can't put a guy when even on the same team, not even on different teams, in the same system under basically the same scenario, playing along the same players. We give the credit to the team and say Jimmy G had so much help. This guy can't be a top 10 quarterback. This guy's below average, but because of his talent, he's okay. Yet on Brock Purdy, he's so good. Oh, he's incredible. He's the best quarterback I've ever seen. his talent, Brady, Kurt Warner, all these different things.
Obviously, a lot of people think so. He's ranked tied for number one in the MVP voting right now.
You give credit to one quarterback because he turns the ball over once in a crucial spot. Oh, crucify him. But God forbid Brock Purdy he just makes it look a little bit nicer. It's the same thing. He's throwing 8-yard passes, and that's what Jimmy G did.
So who do you think should be the MVP?
For me, the problem with
who's the MVP on the 49ers? Who do you think the MVP is on the 49ers?
I would give it to CMC. I would give it to Christian McCaffrey. You can't stop the guy. He is literally
he scores a touchdown in every game.
Think about this. It's crazy to think about. He's the first 1,000-yard 49er rusher since Frank Gore in 2014. They haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since 2014. Of course, Christian McCaffrey's the first one to do it. Mm-hmm. For me, it's C-Mac.
And how about in the league? Who is the MVP?
See, the hard thing to say is, I'll bring it up again. It's going to be very difficult to give it to Dak Prescott just because the level of competition that he played. They haven't beaten anyone currently that has a better than 500 record. The Seahawks at the time, but when the Cowboys beat them, they dropped the 500. It's very, very difficult. The fact that Mahomes is here in the top 4 and he hasn't played that well for his career, he's having a very, very poor year. He's the worst in his career in a bunch of statistical categories. I would move Lamar Jackson up a little bit, actually. And if the offense sputters because no Mark Andrews, then that's rendered invalid because it doesn't make any sense. The offense isn't the same. But I think I think Dak Prescott, I would say I'll put up there just because he's having a tremendous year. And yes, the level of competition is not exactly the greatest, but still.
No, they play the Giants 2 more times.
Think about in the past 14 home games the Cowboys have had, they averaged 37 points a game. That's nearly unheard of. So it's very difficult, but at least talk about the 49ers.
So you think it's Dak Prescott, it's Lamar Jackson. Those would be your two picks?
I'm not saying Lamar Jackson the MVP right now. I'm saying he needs to be moved up from tied for 5th with Tua. C-Mac and Tyreek Hill should get more votes and higher odds than they do now.
It's all quarterbacks there.
It's all quarterbacks, and that's the sad thing about the award. It's become an all-quarterback award. When you have players like Christian McCaffrey, and when you have dominant defensive players like Aaron Donald in his career,
maybe they should have more awards. Maybe there should be more awards out there.
You have what the offensive player of the year. That
like
goes to literally every other position.
That could be a quarterback too. Just say,
It generally isn't, but yeah, no, it's usually given to a wide receiver or something like that, and that is sort of, you could argue that's the MVP for skill position players. Because the quarterback, you give him the MVP, like Rodgers won the MVP, was it last year, the year before?
When was the last time a non-quarterback won the MVP award?
Would it be Adrian Peterson when he was on the Vikings? Would that be the last one?
Was it that far back? There must be one or two.
I think it was Adrian Peterson when he had that 2,000-yard rushing season. Yeah. So
running backs can get it if they have that kind of a season.
When
Derrick Henry.
2,000 yards.
Derrick Henry ever won an MVP?
He has not won an MVP.
Okay. Well.
CMC should get some votes. I don't think he will. Tyreek Hill should get some votes. He's literally about to break NFL history. And yet everyone's just like, Tyreek Hill, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott. Yeah. This guy's breaking NFL history here. Even Cooper Kupp, he didn't break Calvin Johnson's record.
He hasn't broken it yet.
But Cooper Kupp was close. He didn't break it. He still got MVP votes. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, let's move on into our next topic here. So we got to talk about this. It's going to be brutal to talk about, but bear with us. The Patriots, they lost to the Chargers 6-0. I picked the Chargers to beat them and cover the spread, which was 5.5. Didn't expect them to just beat it by the lowest margin that you possibly can of 6-0. So the game was pretty brutal. This was Bailey Zappe's first start since week 6 of last season. He threw for 141 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, which is big. But the Chargers weren't much better. Herbert only threw for 212 yards, also no touchdowns, along with no interceptions. The points came from Cameron Dicker, who had 2 field goals, which was basically the entire game. It was 6-0. The Patriots are the first team to lose 3 straight games despite allowing 10 or fewer points since, check this out, the Chicago Cardinals, who lost an NFL record 4 straight games in 1938.
1938,
Setting records here, the Patriots are close to it. I want to know, this is the first time we saw Bailey Zappe in the starting position. We had a discussion at the Saints game going back. I said, I was honest, I want to see Zappe out there just so people can understand he ain't the answer. So I want to know, were you impressed with Bailey Zappe's performance on Sunday?
No, not at all. I mean, he never got him into the red zone. They never got to the red zone in the whole game, right? And actually, they had the opportunity probably to kick 2 field goals in that game. They got close enough so they're twice that they could have kicked field goals. They were long field goals, and it was raining out. The weather was terrible. And Ryland, I'm sure they didn't trust him to do it because he missed a chip shot that would have tied the game, put it into overtime last week, and he missed that. So they weren't putting him out there because they didn't trust him. So they might have been able to tie the game with the two field goals, which were tough field goals to make, but a good field goal kicker would make them. So, no, I didn't think Bailey Zappe did anything special. The Chargers' defense is not one of the better defenses out there. They look like world beaters out there. That's probably because the Patriots' offensive line is so poor, so you can't pull that against Zappe. But, a really good quarterback will find a way to make more noise than not scoring any points and never getting into the red zone.
I'll give you that. But I've said this before, and I argued it last year. Bailey Zappe ain't the guy, and we got to do. I love the word context. It solves a lot of answers. It solves a lot of questions out there. The Packers game, he threw for 99 yards. A Jack Jones interception was a pick 6 was why they were really in that game and sent it to overtime. Zappe played super safe. The only game where I'll give him a lot of credit is against the Browns. He had over 300 yards passing. He had a great game in that game. Even against the Lions, though, the defense allowed 0 points. Kyle Duggar had a fumble recovery. That defense played absolutely incredibly. So we got to add a little bit of context there. But, he made a couple nice throws. I decided in this game, right, because everyone this entire season when Mac Jones was playing so poorly, they said, put in Zappe. We want to see Bailey Zappe. And so I decided, you know what, this is his first true opportunity. Let me see just how great of a passer he is. Not just overall performance. So I decided to break it into categories. Screens, curl routes, legitimate scripted passes, yikes throws, and then skill position players' fault, so tight end, receiver, running back, their fault, not Zappe's, and then just overall turnovers. So let's start with the actual passes. He threw about 8 legitimate passes that were deep balls, that were decently thrown, that were okay. It was a scripted play. I liked it. He had 5 curl routes, so simply you go 5 yards, just turn around. He had a couple screens, 6 I would say not turnover worthy plays, but throws are like, run that one back, please. There were two wide receiver, running back, tight end faults. There was a Hunter Henry play, took his eyes off the play, dropped it, and then Tyquan Thornton, which I'm going to bring up right now. Tyquan Thornton with what was a beautiful pass. I'll give Zappe the benefit of the doubt here. It was a beautiful pass that Tyquan Thornton just dropped. They've had a problem this entire season with drop passes. Tyquan Thornton's one job on the Patriots is to go deep, get downfield, and catch deep balls.
He can't catch. He's fast.
He's having trouble with that.
He can get open, but he can't catch the ball.
He's had trouble. And I.
That was the easy catch.
Well, it was in the rain, so
it wasn't easy, maybe, but it was in his catch radius easily.
Oh, it was through both hands. No, absolutely, yeah. So
he was wide open.
Right, yeah, and Zappe delivered a beautiful ball.
Yeah, he did. He got him in stride. Well, maybe a little bit beyond his stride, but if he was caught it, he could have run for a touchdown.
Probably,
maybe.
Yeah, probably, and that would have won the game at 7-6.
7-6.
7-6.
If we could have got the extra point.
And then, of course, the one
if we got the extra point.
If we got the extra point, yeah. I don't know if for all we know, Belichick would have gone for 2 because he sent out a memo saying, "Hey, whoever wants to kick for the Patriots, come on!" And he was having open tryouts earlier this week.
This week he did that?
I think it was this week or last week. Yeah, it was this week after the kick. He was trying out a bunch of different kickers and signed one to the practice squad. And then, of course, the one turnover was Ramondre Stevenson. He had a fumble in Chargers territory, and he has a high ankle sprain, I believe. He'll be out for a couple weeks. So I was not impressed, but I didn't really expect much because I knew Bailey Zappe wasn't the answer. I understand you could say, but this is his first start since week 6 of 2022. Yeah, but Mac Jones was so bad, they put him in a couple times in the past couple weeks to perform, and he didn't even perform very well there. He had a bad interception last week in nearly quadruple coverage. He had a bad interception on the last play on a fake spike against the Colts in Germany, and so far this season, he hasn't looked all that great.
No. Well, we'd love to see Malik Cunningham. At least I would.
I have an update on that for you. He got raised this week. He got brought right back down this week. He's back in the practice squad.
Oh, really?
I believe it was yesterday or early today. He got sent right back down to the practice squad. So it's bad all around. I'll also say this, though. We got to be fair. The other side of this, the Chargers play terrible. The fact that you're going up against a Patriots team that literally hit what arguably is the farthest way to rock bottom that you possibly can. I don't know if the Patriots can go much farther from here. If they lose a bunch of games in horrific fashion, maybe there's an even deeper rock bottom. They go deeper into the abyss. But this Patriots team is god-awful. We're talking about with the 1992 team when they went 2-14. And I think the year before that they went 1-15, something like that. This is sort of, the offense looks similar to that. Now the defense is better than it was though, over a decade ago, or was it over 30 years ago? My fault. But the Chargers, you put up 6 points against this Patriots team that isn't even desperate for a win. It's just desperate for a morale boost or just at least for some minimal respect. Gillette Stadium has never looked so empty than it did against the Chargers.
Well, it was pouring out too. Let's not forget that. The weather was awful.
If Mac
the
Jones
play was awful
year,
and the weather was awful.
If Mac Jones rookie year or even Brady's last year where they didn't play particularly well except on defense, if they were playing this Chargers team, there'd be fans of that stadium regardless. Rain, sleet, snow, thunder, and lightning.
Yeah, well,
they'd be at the stadium. But no, it's because we have Bailey Zappe as the starting quarterback in right now the lowest scoring offense. They're averaging a little over 12 points a game. And I'll also say this: people were complaining how bad Mac Jones was doing. So did people enjoy this better just because it was a little bit less ugly? It was still the same result, which was a loss. It's just because Bailey Zappe didn't throw an interception or fumble the ball. It ended up still being a loss. Mac Jones at least gets you into the red zone occasionally. Zappe didn't even get you in the red zone.
Yeah. No, it was terrible.
So are people satisfied with this loss? Well, I'll say this. If we're talking about, if people are looking up because of Caleb Williams or Drake May being the number 2 draft pick right now, albeit, there we go. I'm perfectly content with that. But if we're talking about, respectable football play, are people now more satisfied about Bailey Zappe being the starting quarterback? But it's the same result. It just looks a little bit nicer.
I'd say they're just generally unhappy with the Patriots now. It's just poor football.
Right to be.
Poor football play overall. The defense has been very good the last 7 or 8 weeks now. It's been looking very good.
Well, they allowed 26 points in 2 games or 3 games. 26 points in 3 games. Under 10 points a game they're allowed. Yeah. The Patriots just can't score. If I'm not mistaken, they got shut out, then they scored 7, and then they scored, was it 3 against the...
Yeah.
It was 3
7
or 6?
Against the Giants.
And was it 6 against the Colts? I don't have... I can bring it up quickly, I think. So it was week 11, 2 weeks ago. I'll try to get it up fast, but it was 0 against the Chargers. It was 7 against the Giants. And it was against the Colts, they put up 6.
6 points.
So 13 points in 3 games.
Terrible. Just awful.
If people are more satisfied just because they're not, throwing interceptions and fumbling all the time,
I don't think so. People want to win. They want to win.
Now,
that's what the NFL is all about, winning. If you don't win, you're out.
At this point, are you still trying to, are they trying to squeeze every little bit of Bailey Zappe back out on the field to see if he's got anything to be a backup?
No, I think so.
I don't understand.
Something like that.
I agree with you at this point. We saw Bailey Zappe. Bring on Malik Cunningham.
Yeah. Now they've sent him back to the practice squad.
I'm on your side now. Bring in Malik Cunningham. I want to see some action. I want to see
I
some
should say, who's going to start this week then, do you think?
Bailey Zappe.
Again, they say...
Mac Jones is QB2 again.
Okay. Yeah.
Malik Cunningham isn't even on the 53-man roster.
Well, a lot of people would love to see him play. I've heard it on I've seen comments and I've heard it on the talk shows and stuff. Bring him up. Give him a try. Why not? The season's over now.
Are the Patriots afraid he's going to win a game?
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he's too good. Maybe they think he's too good.
I don't think he's too good. I just think it's so new to the Patriots. I don't think teams would be expecting it. Who knows? Who knows? But let's move on to our next topic here before we go to break. So, in the Jets, we talked about this earlier last week, talked about Aaron Rodgers potentially making a crazy comeback. This time, we're talking about Zach Wilson. So, Diana Rossini reported yesterday, and here's the tweet, that the Jets want to make a switch at quarterback. The team is leaning towards Zach Wilson to take over, but he is reluctant to stepping back in, sources tell at Zach Blatt and me. The team is discussing next steps. More on The Athletic shortly. There was an article posted about basically the entire situation between there. And then Robert Saleh in a press conference actually responded to that comment, and he said this.
Let's be clear. If he was reluctant to play, guys, he wouldn't be here. All right. I actually coincidentally just got done speaking with him. He came in about a half hour ago, and we had a really good conversation. The young man wants the ball. He wants to start. He believes he's the best quarterback in the room and best quarterback for this team and the guy who gives us the best chance to win. And I'll tell you guys the same thing I told him. I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that he wants to play. I'm just not there yet.
Not only that, there's more to that, because yesterday, the latest update we have is Diana Rossini tweeted timeline of the events we are reporting. Zach Wilson made clear to multiple members of the organization, players, staff, and coaches of his apprehension to start due to perceived injury risk per sources. The conversation with Rodgers came as a result of Wilson's shared sentiment with others. Now, the subtweet to that was talking about how Aaron Rodgers contacted Zach Wilson to be amped up to start the game, but Wilson did not want to be out there, according to this, due to perceived injury risk.
That is bizarre,
So-
I must say. If you're worried about getting hurt, you shouldn't be playing professional football.
I agree
Right?
with that.
Because your chances of getting hurt out there are pretty good.
Well, and
Most everybody gets hurt at some point.
right, absolutely. And there's more to this. Tim Boyle, who was the starter for the past 2 games, he got released, I believe it was today, and they signed Brett Ripien, former Rams quarterback Brett Ripien. So now Trevor Siemian, Brett Ripien, and Zach Wilson are the quarterbacks on the Jets roster.
But Saleh just said that Zach Wilson's not going to start, right?
Well, he doesn't know. According to Robert Saleh, Wilson
I thought
wants to play.
I thought at the end he said we're just not going to do that. We're not
Saleh says he hasn't made a decision yet on
Oh,
who's the quarterback.
I see.
So, in your opinion, who do you think will be the Jets' starting quarterback moving forward?
Brett Ripien.
You really?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, I just think listen to what Saleh said last week. He said Zach is fine. He's come a long way from a year ago. I think we all agree. Obviously, we wish it was better for him. We wish we all could have been better for him. Like I have said, it is not a one-person thing, but just to see if we could get something going. But he was good. What the hell does that mean? If he was good, he wouldn't have been benched. I mean, I can see why Zach Wilson is frustrated, right? What kind of message does that send to somebody? He was good, but we benched you? That makes no sense at all, right? So Saleh did refute that Zach Wilson he's not reluctant to play. But that's being refuted by all these rumors and things that are coming out, right? So I don't know. What do you think the truth is here?
Well, I'll say this. Rodgers also said that these comments were a certain word on the Pat McAfee show. But I'll say this. I don't think Rodgers likes Diana Rossini very much, because we on the show talked about how she reported back in was it 2 off seasons ago or the off season? Oh yeah, I believe it was 2 off seasons ago, where Rodgers was looking for a $50 million a year contract with the Green Bay Packers. Rodgers said, "That's not what I'm looking for." What did he get? 3 years, $150 million, aka $50 million per year. And also this offseason when he was on the Jets, he was like, or before he got into the Jets, there was this wish list that was out there, right? He wants Lazard, Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, all these pieces. Who did the Jets get? Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, pieces that Rodgers wanted that were reported by Diana Rossini. So people are saying, Rodgers and Saleh. Clearly some of her reporting, or if not, the most recent reporting on Rodgers has been correct. So I'll also say this. I agree with you. If your head coach is saying that you're fine, why are you benched? Why are you benched? And by the way, this is his 3rd time getting benched, I believe. 3rd time. So I can understand why he'd be frustrated as well. But I agree with you. If Zach Wilson is fine, and they're even saying, we wish it was better for him, we wish we all could have been better for him, it's not a one-person thing, just to see if we can get something going. This team, the past couple games, have been arguably worse with Trevor Siemian and Tim Boyle out there than with Zach Wilson. The first points the Jets got in the Falcons game was a safety. You scored 8 total points. 8.
That's better than the Patriots.
So
I just don't understand his comments. I can understand why Zach Wilson's upset, because Saleh's comments make no sense. If he was good, then he shouldn't have been benched.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And they probably regret it now. They lost all the games since they benched him, and they look just as bad, or if not worse. At least Zach Wilson, he is athletic.
Right.
You know, he makes mental errors. That's his thing. Why not just simplify the game for him? Say, look, drop back. You're going to be throwing a square in to one of the receivers, right?
Garrett
Wilson or Lazard. If he's not open, just throw the ball away,
or
right?
run.
Or run. If it's not open, throw the ball away or run. One or the other. If he's open, throw it to him. If he's not, don't. Is that hard to understand? They could do that. All right, they could say, it's going to be a long pass to Garrett Wilson. If you drop back and you see him, he's even open at all, if it's single coverage, throw the ball down there and see what happens, right? If he's double covered, right? Or if he falls down or something, run with it.
That's great.
Don't even check down to somebody else. Just run. Do that. Why not? Try that. That's a pretty simple concept. I think even I could follow that.
That is great. That is great. I love that. Man, if I'm Zach Wilson, I just commended him on being mature about the situation. He played so poorly. They went out and got a veteran quarterback. He more than willingly was okay to learn from Rodgers this season. Rodgers gets hurt. And he gets thrust upon in week 1, 4 plays into the game, and he somehow comes up with a win on that.
Yeah, you know what? They beat the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Broncos with Zach Wilson playing, right?
Well, they almost beat the Chiefs. Zach Wilson played phenomenally.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
they didn't
lost
play the Chiefs. They played phenomenally, but they did beat the Eagles.
They beat the Eagles, and
they beat the Chiefs. The Broncos. So who else did they beat? They beat the was it the Commanders?
Their wins are the Bills week 1.
The Bills. They beat the Bills.
Right. The Giants were their other win.
Okay.
So it's Bills, Broncos, Eagles, Giants.
So, aside from the Giants, they beat some teams that are winning teams.
Right.
Right? And beating Buffalo in the first game. I mean, Zach Wilson actually he did some good things in that game. He did throw one interception.
He wasn't supposed to be in that game.
I know. I think that maybe that's the thing. Don't tell him he's starting. Don't tell him he's going to start. Just at the think somebody else starts there. We changed our mind 2 minutes before the game starts. Put him in. He might do better. Then he's not thinking about it. Maybe that's a strategy. In the first game, that worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. They try a different strategy with him. If I'm him, I think I want out of New York. Why would I want to be here? I know I'm not going to play. I know I'm not going to play next year if Aaron Rodgers can get up and walk. And
they might draft a quarterback in the later round.
They probably draft a quarterback anyway. Give me a chance somewhere else outside the New York media.
Hey, that's fair. And also say this. If we're talking about injury risk or injury concerns, that's completely viable. Rodgers got hurt 4 plays into the game, and he's 40 years old, I think, right now.
Can any football player say, I'm worried about playing because I might get hurt?
Well, they have the 3rd worst pass blocking offensive line.
Yeah, well.
If I'm Rodgers, I'm scared.
You can't say that if you're a quarterback, because if you want to go somewhere else and they hear you say something like that, they're going to say, what the hell? We're not going to get that guy. He doesn't want to. He's worried about getting hurt, and he's a professional football player. That doesn't make any sense at all. That thinking is not something I'd want on my team.
Hey, I'm not going to disagree with you because a lot of what you said is right.
Okay, thanks.
You may believe it. Excuse me. Just don't say it. Just flat out don't say it. All right, coming up. We're going to take a quick break here, but coming up, we got Jordan Love and the Packers. Are the Chiefs slipping potentially out of the playoffs, maybe? Potentially, I don't know. Also, the Celtics got eliminated by the Indiana Pacers in the NBA in-season tournament. We react to that game. And also, Thursday Night Football, I hate to say it, we got to talk about it, though. Patriots and Steelers, 2 of the worst offenses in the NFL. We'll break down who wins and who loses, all that coming up right after this.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the content.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. Good to have you in on a Tuesday, as always. I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic here. So, the Packers were able to upset the Chiefs at Lambeau Field on Sunday night as Jordan Love tore up that dominant Chiefs defense, throwing for 267 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mahomes was underwhelming, throwing for only 210 yards, 1 touchdown, and he also had 1 interception. The game did have its controversies, though. On that last drive, basically every single play was either penalized, should have been a penalty, the whole 9 yards. It was pretty bad. But Jordan Love, the Packers have won 4 or 5 right now. They picked it up a little bit later part of the season. I want to know, was this game, do you think, more about the Chiefs or more about the Packers?
Well, it was played in Green Bay. I think it's more about the Packers and the run that they're on. And Jordan Love's performance, he seems to have found a groove now. He's playing much better. And as you put up on a stat a while back when they were questioning Jordan Love, is he the quarterback of the future? The comparison through 12 games as starter between him and Aaron Rodgers are almost identical. Right. Aaron Rodgers, look at the career he went on to have. So I think it's too soon to say Jordan Love is questionable and we should think about drafting another quarterback. And he's starting to prove his doubters wrong with his performance on the field.
I'm going to say this actually has more to say about the Chiefs, strictly because the Packers have been on this streak. If we saw Jordan Love go from like 150 yards a game against bad defenses to all of a sudden 400 against the Chiefs and their good defense, I think that'd be more about the Packers. This case is more about the Chiefs because we've seen so far this season, second halves are basically like horror stories for them. Several times, not even scoring points in the second half. Before the Raiders game, they're averaging 5.3 points in the second half per game. It was terrible. This Chiefs team hasn't been great. But I want to start off this topic with those controversies because the entire drive was bad. So let's begin with the first one, which was I do have my sheet. So this one, even the refs or even like that lead ref that they come on said that this was a bad play. This was a late hit out of bounds penalty where Mahomes clearly was in bounds. Like there was really no question about it. It was a hit, but Mahomes was clearly in bounds. So that was a big play. How about the next one? Let's go to the next play here. So Rashee Rice, he catches a 4-yard pass. He runs up for 9 yards. And then all of a sudden, the ball pops out. So they don't blow a whistle. So we see number 35 run all the way back for a fumble recovery touchdown. I believe there's 68 yards. This play had 2 pretty big situations. It obviously wasn't a fumble. Rear end was on the ground before the ball came out. But it also had to do with Isaiah Pacheco slapping a Packers defensive back and got ejected from the game. And the reason why this is big was because that should have been 15 yards and the clock should have kept running. They stopped the clock on this one. But what about the next one? On the very next play, Mahomes steps back in the pocket, fires it deep to, I believe that was Marquez Valdes-Scantling. No defensive pass interference on that.
I know, it's terrible.
He tackled him before he got there.
You know what? Scantling probably wouldn't have caught it, but
yeah, that bad drop against the Eagles, so maybe. But how about this one? This is one Marquez Valdes-Scantling actually catches. What about this one? This one should have been keep the clock moving because while he did get out of bounds, he went out of bounds while backing up. That's keep the clock moving. That's what that's called. So listen, and if people want to argue that the Hail Mary and they want to say that Travis Kelce was pass interference or whatever, go to the Bucs-Bills game. Every single Bucs receiver was getting basically assaulted in the end zone, and you don't get penalties on Hail Marys. Gronk in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, he was getting held that entire time. You don't get pass interference calls on the Hail Marys. But this game was littered with all terrible officiating late in that game. Yeah. That entire drive, basically every play, like I said in the rundown of this, was either penalized, should have been penalized, or it's a flat-out bad call or a missed call. So this game was overall bad. I'm going to give my props to the Packers, though. They played phenomenally against the Chiefs defense, who this season right now is the 4th best defense in the NFL. They're 6th best in passing. So I'll give them a lot of credit. But this offense, and you were very early on this, I believe. Rashee Rice is an interesting receiver. Outside of that, they don't really got much. Sky Moore ain't there. McCole Hardman isn't there. You know, like those receivers aren't in tip-top shape or really that good. Kadarius Toney isn't very good. They don't really got a lot of pieces there.
They don't, and the opposing teams know it, and they focus on Kelsey now. They've taken him out of the action.
Right.
He doesn't get. He's being double covered and accounted for, and it's tough to get the ball to him now. So they got to go to those guys, and those guys either drop the ball or they're not open.
Right.
And Kadarius Toney is a bust. I'm sorry, he's a bust. I don't know why Hardman isn't better. He's had some good prior seasons. I don't know what's wrong with him. The Scantling's got iron hands. He can't catch the ball. So that's the problem. I think it's the wide receivers. Everything else in that team looks pretty good. They got Pacheco is a good running back. Mahomes is an MVP caliber quarterback. The offensive line is decent. The running game has been okay. The defense is great. So, teams are, and also their scheme, right? Teams are adjusting after the first half, and the Chiefs can't do anything in the second half. So that's on the coaches. So they got some issues. I think they got to watch out. They may not be going too deep into the playoffs this year. Or where are they now? They're 8-4.
I believe they're the 4 seed right now.
They're the 4 seed. So, yeah, they got to watch out here. They've got to find a way to win. How's their schedule look the rest of the way?
So the Chiefs, their schedule looks like for the rest of the season. So right now they're home against the Bills.
They got the Patriots.
The Patriots are the next game at Patriots. That got flexed out of Monday Night Football into Sunday at 1 p.m. Then you're home against the Raiders and Bengals. I'm disappointed, Joe, but that would have been a great Bengals game to watch. And then at Chargers, which those
so
games
they don't have
that
schedule isn't that tough.
It's not bad. It's not bad. The biggest it's not one of our topics, but Jake Browning had 5 incompletions in last night's game against the Jaguars, over 350 yards passing. I mean, we were like, Jake Browning can't do much. Hey, give him a shot. But I don't know. I'm not saying that the Bengals could win that game, but I think that could be interesting. The Bills are really their only competition, and the Bills this season haven't been good. They really haven't been that good. So I'm not saying the Chiefs can win out, but I'm not saying they're good either. Do you really think that this team is Super Bowl I mean, I'll bring it up again. Mahomes is has the 4th highest MVP odds.
Yeah. Well, he's one person. I mean, Brock Purdy's number 2. He's surrounded by world-class players.
Right.
I would say the Chiefs on offense, not so much, right? They have Kelsey and Mahomes. That's about it. And they have a decent offensive line, and maybe Pacheco is a serviceable running back. Aside from that, they're hurting. They don't have the pieces the 49ers have, that's for sure. And the AFC are going to be hard-pressed to win out in the playoffs, right? There's some teams out there that look a lot better than them right now.
Right. Do you think this team also deserves, according to the New York Post, to have the 3rd best Super Bowl odds?
3rd best?
3rd best. So 49ers, then Eagles, then Chiefs.
I think I'd put the Ravens ahead of them.
The Ravens are plus 150 higher than them. I'd put the Cowboys higher than... The Cowboys are 7th.
7th?
I'd put them higher than 7th.
Well, who was ahead of the Cowboys?
Dolphins, Ravens, then Chiefs, Eagles, 49ers.
Yeah. I think I put the Ravens higher.
So that would mean that you put the Ravens in the top 3 Super Bowl odds.
I think so. Right now. Their record's 8-3, isn't it?
I don't have it in front of me, but I'm going to assume so.
I think it is.
9-3.
9-3 now.
Because they won, was it 2 weeks ago? So, I mean, I'd have the Cowboys higher than 7th. I don't know if I put them in the top 3 just because of strength of schedule wins here. But it's kind of the same reason. I mean, I'm going to complete hypothetical. I think they play later on in the season. I think it's Cowboys-Dolphins. They play later on in the year. We're obviously going to talk about it in 3 weeks from now.
The Cowboys have some tough games.
Right
the Cowboys have some tough games left, right? They got the Eagles. Well, they have the Giants.
No.
They've done with the Giants.
Home against the Eagles, at Buffalo, at Miami, home against the Lions, at Washington.
Yeah, so except for Washington, they've got those games are all tough. I say if they win all one, let's say
they lose against the Eagles. So they beat Bills, beat Miami, beat Detroit, beat Washington.
I think they have to beat the Eagles for me to think that they're
legit.
They're really legit. Yeah, if they beat the Eagles, I think they win all but one of those games the rest of the way, then I'd move them up into maybe the 3 or 4 spot.
Well, that would also basically answer the question of, can the Cowboys beat a team that's over 500 even after the loss? Like if the Cowboys beat, because the Seahawks at the time had a winning record. The Cowboys beat them, they're at 500. So the Cowboys in this entire season have not beaten a team over 500 right now.
Well, then that's going to be, we're going to see, the proof is going to be in the pudding in the last 5 games of the season because they're playing teams that have winning records.
Well, how about this? Just mock, because the Dolphins are one notch above the Cowboys in the Super Bowl odds. So it's Dolphins plus 700, Cowboys plus 950. Right now, since they play on Christmas Eve, it's at Miami. Who would you have winning that game?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is.
It's at Miami?
We ask hard-hitting questions on the show. Yes, at Miami.
Yeah.
4:25 Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
They play a lot of like late.
I think the Dolphins have a good chance to win that game.
Interesting. Okay. We'll talk about it later, but I'll give you this. If we're segue back to the Chiefs Packers. This is what I talked about. I said, can Jordan Love just replicate what Rodgers did last season? And not only that, I think he's doing a better job because of the fact the Packers right now are in the playoffs. They are currently in the playoffs. 3 teams in the NFC North are in the playoffs. So if Jordan Love keeps this up, all I wanted from him is to go 8-9 or 9-8. He needs 2 more wins to make me satisfied. Just if he repeats Rodgers with 2 more wins.
What's his schedule? What's the rest of the way?
The Packers' schedule end the year is at Giants.
They should win that one.
Oh, by the way, Tyrod Taylor's back, but they're just keeping Tommy DeVito out there. Just gonna put that home against the Bucks. I think
they should win that game.
At Panthers.
They should win that game.
At Vikings with the Pastronaut. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, well, he's been a little inconsistent. He didn't play so well the last game. 4 interceptions.
Right.
Yeah.
And then week 18, the Packers own this team, the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, they could win out. They could win out. They could win 5 games, right? And so that would make them 11 and
6.
11 and 6. Yeah. If they do that, then definitely Jordan Love is for real.
11 and 6, and with the Lions potentially slipping, because never mind, I'm not going to say that because they have 1 game that's difficult, really, maybe 2 if you consider the Broncos interesting. Although Wilson had one of the worst games he's ever had this past week. They have the Cowboys at Cowboys. The Lions do. It's the Saturday night game. Football Saturdays. I miss those.
I give the Packers head coach LaFleur a lot of credit here.
Yeah,
they were 1-5. Weren't they 1-5?
They were really bad.
They were really bad.
Right? They were 2 and 5.
2-5.
And then they play the Rams, beat them 20-3. They lost against the Steelers. It was an ugly loss. And then they go beat Chargers, beat Lions, beat Chiefs.
Beat the Chiefs. Yeah.
3 really good wins.
Yeah, very nice.
So, who knows? I think the Chiefs are slipping. I don't think they should be top 3 in the Super Bowl odds just because they have been slipping. They haven't looked the same. Mahomes should not be.
How many of those
4.
games are home games for Green Bay? Because it's getting cold now, and they have the advantage in the cold weather.
2 out of 5.
2 out of the 5. Yeah.
But they play Minnesota and the Giants, who both at this time are
cold weather teams.
Chicago as well, if you want to put that in.
Yeah.
Carolina's the only, or Tampa Bay and Carolina are both the ones where.
But they're playing them at the.
Tampa Bay's home. Carolina is at Carolina.
Well, Tampa Bay will have a tough time.
You have 1 game where you're not in, perfect weather late in the year. So
got it.
All right, let's get into our next topic. Let's go to the NBA. We haven't talked much. We haven't really talked any NBA this season besides James Harden and I don't know if we talked any NBA besides that, but let's talk in-season tournament. Tyrese Halliburton had a phenomenal game against the Celtics last night. The Celtics were eliminated by the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton was able to get his first career triple-double in the 122-112 win. The Pacers move on to the semifinals in Las Vegas on Thursday. Their competition is actually being determined today, I believe, when the Knicks and the Bucks play against each other. there's a lot to be determined tonight whether or not. Well, first of all, I'll say this: I'm rooting for the Knicks. They're 5-point underdogs. I hope the Knicks get something done today, but we'll talk about that, I'm sure, later on, maybe on Friday or whatever the case may be, when Game 1 of the Eastern semifinals for the in-season tournament happens. I want to know what's your overall reaction to this game. How impressed were you with the Pacers? And obviously, because you root for the Celtics, how disappointed were you in the Celtics?
Very disappointed in the Celtics. I mean, this is the year they started out so hot. They looked unbeatable, right? But they picked up Porzingis, and he's an injury-prone guy, and he was out last night. He was hurt. He had a calf injury. And with him on the floor, maybe they would have won that game because at center, they have Al Horford, who is old, and they have Luke Cornett, who is, average at best. So the Pacers look very good. What's their record? How are they doing this year? The
Pacers this season are in 6th in the East. They are 11-8.
11-8.
The Celtics are 15-5.
15-5. So that's a game the Celtics should have won. If they're going to go deep in the playoffs this year, that's the kind of game you got to win. I mean, it was on the road. I'll give them that. And they lost to the Magic too in this tournament. Yeah. And so I don't know. They got to have a gut check there with that team they have and the money they're spending on it. They should not be out of this tournament, and now they are. Very disappointed.
I'll say this, and I've talked about this before constantly on the show, especially when it was in the playoffs. Missoula's ideology, right? He switched up the starting lineup to favor the 3-ball. This Celtics team lives and dies by the 3. In this game, they shot 29% from 3. Not only that, they had turnover issues. Derek White had 5 turnovers in this game. They had 18 total turnovers, which accumulated 17 points for the Indiana Pacers. So the Celtics side of this, it was pretty ugly. In the second quarter, you got to figure out how's the second half going to play out. How are we going to exactly, go into the second half and come out with this win? Because they were leading at the end of the first half. But you got to take notes. Okay, what worked in the first half and what can we bring into the second half? What didn't work in the first half? We maybe should not do as much. They shot 3 of 13 in the second quarter from 3 and decided, you know what? Let's shoot more threes. Why not? I mean, they were pitiful on the threes. You had Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White. They were horrible through and through. I believe if my math is correct, they went, let's do the very, very quick math of this. They went 2 of 9, 2 of 7, and 2 of 8. They made 6 threes in total out of, I can't do the quick math. It's too much for my brain to comprehend. I'm trying to think.
About 24 shots.
Yeah, I was going to say about 24. So the 3-ball shouldn't have been, a point of emphasis, but that's how this team rolls. Drew Holiday also, he shot 1 of 5 from 3. Peyton Pritchard, who they give a big extension to, he went 0 for 4 for 3, 0 for 5 on the day.
One thing I'll say about the Celtics this year, they are going deeper into the bench.
Yeah.
Right? They have a bigger rotation, a deeper rotation than they had last year. I think that's a good thing. The guy Hauser, right? He's a pretty good 3-point shooter.
Hauser, yeah. He went 5 of 7 from 3.
They should have given him the ball more.
Nearly made half their entire threes.
Yeah. So I was very disappointed in this game. I thought they had a good chance to win as they were going down the stretch there, and they just lost it in the last minute of the game. They were just beaten badly in the last minute. So unfortunate.
I want to say, what do you think of Tyrese Halliburton's performance? His first career triple-double in this game. He went 26, 10, and 13. How impressed were you with Halliburton?
Yeah, he looked really good to me. He looks like a really great player. I thought the Pacers overall looked good. They got the crowd was going nuts for them. The Pacers and playoff basketball have not been one and the same that much in recent years. So that was something that for them to play for, and the crowd was in it, and they wound up winning against the Celtics. They got to be very pleased.
I'll say this about the Pacers just in general. Tyrese Halliburton, even last year he was an all-star. He averaged 20 points a game and 10 assists. I mean, 10 assists, sorry. The guy's incredible, and we saw it last year. That was sort of his first display of, his true dominance in the game. But also say this about the Pacers. They are playing a very risky style of basketball. It's the same style the Kings played last season, where they broke the record for most points per game, and the Pacers are doing an entire notch, an entire switch above that, because last season the Kings averaged about 120 points a game of offense. The Pacers this season, they're averaging 128 points of offense per game. They are doing unspeakable things on offense, absolutely incredible. Their defense is 30th, though. They've given up the most points per game. So it's if you could somehow outscore this team, you'll probably beat them, because they're giving up 125 points a game, which is more points per game than the Kings scored entirety of last season, which was an NBA record.
Well, the Kings did very well last year with that strategy.
Well, they made it to the first round of the playoffs and lost in 7 to the Warriors. I'll always say this close to my 5-game King prediction being perfectly correct. So off 2-0, that close. And then, of course, De'Aaron Fox had to hurt his finger.
Yeah.
But I'll give props. I'll also say this just because I feel like the Knicks kind of screwed him over. Obi Toppin's not having a bad year.
No.
And it just so happens he's a starter on the highest scoring offense in NBA history so far. Just going to throw that out there. He's not dominant.
I think it was a mistake for them to trade him.
job.
We said this. I think it was a mistake for them to trade him.
I just think Tom Thibodeau didn't know how to use him.
Yeah, maybe not.
This season he was averaging 13 points and 3 boards, which in his career is about double what he had last season.
Well, that's easy to do if you never play any time when you're on the Knicks. They never put him out there.
He's also shooting better. He's shooting 37% from 3 on basically the same amount of attempts. And also, if you talk about 2-pointers, he's averaging 76% on 2s. I mean, he's incredible.
Yeah.
So you didn't. I don't think the Knicks knew how to use Obi Toppin. He didn't fit with the system. I'm happy for the guy. He's playing great this season.
Is his brother on the Knicks?
They got drafted. Yeah, the Knicks drafted his brother. Then, like a day later, released Obi Toppin, something like that. It's brutal out here. So good for the Pacers. Unfortunate for the Celtics, but maybe they could turn the in-season tournament lack of success into motivation to dominate during the regular season.
Let's hope so.
Because I think we both agree. It's really finals or bust for this team, because you're going to need to pay a lot of people a lot of money. And the NBA is cracking down on building these super teams with several luxury taxes and different, notches of tax that they've implemented for NBA teams. All right, let's get into Thursday Night Football. We have to talk about it because we are a sports talk show. And besides, it's the Patriots, because why not? So the Patriots have lost 8 of 9 games so far. The 8 of the last 9 games they've lost. The Steelers, however, they lost Kenny Pickett for at least a couple of weeks. Mitch Trubisky will be in. Kenny Pickett's out with a high ankle sprain. Trubisky will get the start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. These are both 2 of the lowest scoring offenses in the NFL. The Patriots are 32nd in the league in scoring, averaging about a little over 12 points a game, while the Steelers, on the other hand, they're 28th, averaging 16 points per game. I want to know, I guess I'll start. Who wins, or will the Patriots, I'll read the question here. Will the Patriots end their losing streak on Thursday night? And my answer is no, they will not. And hell, I took something from the Chargers game, right? I thought about it and I said, really bad defense, the Patriots put up no points. Really good offense the Chargers have with Justin Herbert, they only put up 6. Doesn't make a lot of sense with the Steelers, because they have a really good defense, which is countered what the Chargers have, and a very, very bad offense, which once again is countered to what the Chargers have. Mm-hmm. But I took that score, that's 6-0, and I thought about it. So I have the Patriots losing 9-3. Steelers cover. The Patriots unfortunately get another loss, but hey, it's one step closer to Caleb Williams or Drake May, depending on if the Bears decide to draft Caleb Williams, if they want to get rid of Justin Fields. So that's my score. I say the Steelers win and cover, and they win 9-3.
Yeah, I don't think the Patriots will win either. And with Mitch Trubisky out there, I don't think that the Steelers are going to be able to score on Bill Belichick's defense, which has been very good. I initially told you 17-7, the Steelers, but now I think it's going to be 6-0.
You think it's going to repeat the...
Yeah, 6-0, and they beat the point spread by half a point.
So it's the same situation the Chargers have.
Yeah, I don't see the Patriots. The Steelers have a very good defense. How are the Patriots going to do any better than they did last week when they were playing the Chargers, whose defense is nowhere near as good? They never even got into the red zone.
And Ramondre Stevenson's out for a number of weeks.
That's right.
So now they got to rely on Zeke, and now they're going to bring up anyone else. But
they don't have it. Do they have another running back? Who's Ty Montgomery?
Ty Montgomery, yeah.
Yeah. They don't let him play much. He's in there once in a while.
They put him at wide receiver a lot, too.
Yeah.
They also got, here we go, JaMychal Hasty. They got as their fourth string running back.
Who's he?
JaMychal Hasty.
I never heard of him.
This is fourth season in the NFL.
I say bring up Malik Cunningham. Let him run around back in the offensive line's terrible against Nick Bosa. They're going to be.
Bosa.
I'm sorry,
hurt?
Joey Bosa was hurt. Nick. Who's the
T.J. Watt?
T.J. Watt is who I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. Yeah, I would say put Malik Cunningham in there because the defense is going to be in the backfield right after the snap.
Right.
The offensive line is not going to be able to stop those guys. So have somebody that can at least run around back there, maybe find somebody open or run for a few yards.
Well, there's a little bit of hope because Demario Douglas, he's questionable.
Okay.
I haven't seen.
How about Booty?
He's also questionable.
Yeah.
So I don't know if those guys are good to go. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen anything up to this current time when we're live of Demario Douglas being out of concussion protocol. So we'll have to wait and see. Devontae Parker. So right now, the three receivers are Parker 1, Douglas 2, Juju 3. Can Bailey Zappe make anything work with those three receivers? Maybe Demario Douglas. But anyone else, I have no idea. So I got the Steelers winning 9-3.
How about Tyquan Thornton? Throw him a long pass and let it go right through his hands.
Yeah, I was going to say, he needs to learn to catch the ball first. He's got to learn catching. So we'll have to wait and see. Thursday, we'll talk about that on Friday, I'm sure. Hopefully something interesting happens, regardless of the Patriots win or lose, regardless of the Steelers win or lose. Just want something interesting. And I've talked about this before. Amazon should fight the NFL for its money back. The amount of very bad Thursday night football games we've had in the past couple of years has been brutal.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe this will be a great game.
Brutal. So, who knows? But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, I believe that. Oh, no, I will say this.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, we're going to talk. It wasn't a main topic because we just wanted to talk about it briefly. But the college football playoff standings have been released. Their final one. So the college football playoff has been set. It'll be 1 Michigan versus 4 Alabama, and then 2 Washington up against 3 Texas. That means FSU, who went undefeated. Undefeated. By the way, this is the first team in college football who went undefeated to miss out on the college football playoffs. So I want to know, do you think FSU got snubbed?
I do, very much so.
Wow.
They didn't lose a game. They're 12-0 when they didn't get in, and the Alabama lost a game. Right? So how can Alabama beat them out if FSU was undefeated? I don't get it.
Well, it's the...
Some sort of strength of schedule or something, or is it just a bias towards Alabama?
Well,
there's a bias out there towards Alabama.
I don't know if it's a bias against Alabama, but I think it's just a bias against good teams or exciting teams, television-worthy teams, and I think that's what it is. Because also, you barely beat Louisville. Louisville ain't really that much, but I have an argument for why I like this. Because the harsh reality of what we've seen in college football is the team that deserves it isn't always the team that gets in. Because we take a look at Ohio State last year. They didn't win their conference. They were. I don't even believe they were in the championship of their conference last season. But they were in the college football playoff. And we saw maybe one of the best college football games we've seen in a very, very long time, Ohio State against Georgia, where people saw C.J. Stroud perform against a insanely good college football defense. And that maybe put him at number 2. Maybe he would have gone a little bit farther down in the draft. Now, people were thinking number 1, but then that S2 test really killed his chances at number 1. Who knows? But I really don't think if you want to talk about, the rules and who really deserves to get in just based on their record, fair. You could say that, and you could say that FSU deserved to be in just because their record said so.
No, I would say that Michigan is upset by this. Right? They're going to be very upset by this, right? Because if they got to play FSU,
they would have creamed them.
Because the quarterback, FSU's quarterback is out, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been much easier for Michigan. And Michigan, Harbaugh, he needs to win. He needs to get over the hump here and win a championship as a college coach. He hasn't done it yet, right?
Not only that, but especially this season after the spy scandal, he was out for 3. He wasn't allowed to coach on the field for 3 games. They won those 3 games. So to come back from that, it's sort of like that Brady Deflategate where you're suspended the first 4 games of the season, you dominate the rest of the way, and you win the championship. So it could be sort of like that with Michigan where your coach gets suspended for 3 games. Now you go out and win the championship. and sort of showed like, yeah, we may have looked at a couple plays here. We may have done some sketchy stuff, but hey, didn't matter. We're still really, really good.
Yeah.
I'll also say this.
Did you have a pick for this? Or is it too soon? You want to wait?
Well, we got like a whole month before
I know.
we start this, but I will say this. I'm not as high on J.J. McCarthy, their quarterback, as a lot of people are. I would say he's very scheme-specific. He likes to hand the ball off a lot. The running game and the defense, I think, are Michigan's story, and J.J. McCarthy is sort of like the Brock Purdy, where he just fits into the scheme. The offense just sort of makes plays work that the offense, is schemed up to do. I think he's an NFL caliber quarterback, but I think the system and the scheme is going to be what's important for McCarthy's success. Like Caleb Williams, USC's defense was abysmal. He himself, this was a terrible season this season, but he's played pretty damn well throughout his entire college career. Bo Nix doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Michael Penix, I like him a lot. There's some questions there. There's a couple, Drake May, tremendous arm, tremendous athleticism, throws a lot of interceptions, throws a lot of turnovers, which, if a lot of Patriots fans are like, if we can't get Caleb Williams, let's go out and get Drake May. We now realize that Belichick wanted Mac Jones because of he didn't have a lot of mobility, didn't have a lot of, athleticism. His decision-making was what Belichick really, really liked.
He was thinking he was drafting the next Tom Brady.
Right, and now because his decision-making sucks, and he's got the yips in the worst way, where instead of holding the ball and not giving a play, or not creating a play.
He's another Zach Wilson. He doesn't want to get hurt out there.
He's creating plays for the other team. Now Belichick's frustrated with the lack of decision-making and the very, very poor decision-making.
Yeah.
That could be sort of what Drake May has, where he could be extremely athletic. He could be another Josh Allen for all I know. Josh Allen, extremely turnover-worthy. His arm is incredible. Athleticism through the roof. Could be something like that. So maybe it's not, I don't know, though. We'll have to wait for the draft to come around. We'll make our mock drafts late March into April, but are you going to make a prediction already? Or are you going to wait a month for the college football?
I'm going to wait a little longer.
For Alabama, I got to see the point spread. I haven't looked at it quite yet.
I think it's going to be very hard for Michigan to beat Alabama.
That's interesting. Okay. We're going to have a great discussion then. All I'm saying is, I don't think Washington's going to, I'll say this right, I don't think Washington's going to win at all.
Yeah.
They did beat Oregon, and Oregon looked like the best team in the nation. I don't know if Washington's going to win. Don't love the way they looked, but we'll have to wait and see, obviously. For this episode of the Harvey Hour, though, we went long. We went an hour and 10 minutes, give or take. So we thank you for tuning in as always. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. Thank you for joining us with another episode of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Friday, 6:30 p.m. So we're going to do a bunch of football, talk a little bit of basketball, maybe the in-season tournament. Pacers, it would be Pacers versus Knicks or Pacers versus Bucks. We'll have to wait and see. Tonight is the game. It's going on right now, actually. Tip-off is in about 3 minutes.
Do you have a prediction of who wins this tournament?
Let me look at the bracket real quick. So right now, by the way, the Pelicans upset the Kings yesterday. I thought that was absolutely crazy. Or not upset, but they crushed them. The Lakers are favored tonight against the Suns. I'll take the Suns to win. I'll say the Knicks win in shocking fashion against the Bucks tonight. I don't think the Knicks could slow down the Pacers. I want them to. I don't think they will. I'll say the Pacers are in the final. Suns beat the Pelicans. I'll say Pelicans. Pacers win it all.
Pacers are going to win it all.
Pacers win it all.
I say the Bucks.
Okay. You don't care who comes out of the West. Lakers, Suns, Pelicans. You don't care. You say the Bucks win it all with Dame and Giannis.
I do. I think the Bucks win it all. Yeah.
There we go. There's our in-season tournament predictions. But yeah, for this episode of Harvey, I'm Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. Catch us Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN,